Okay, that should be way better. I feel like I spend like so much time trying to like get everything ready, and then subsequently I end up forgetting stuff anyway. But hello, hello, welcome in. This is the first time that I have ever streamed on YouTube, so hopefully it's working. Okay, yeah, there is a little bit of a lag, but it seems to be working. Thank Twitch and Stream for teaching me how to use OBS. Super cool. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. So I am gonna switch to some screen sharing, and we're just still getting set up. So get yourself a drink, get cozy. Thanks so much for joining, and yeah, we'll get started in just a few minutes. Um, uh, let's move this over here. Okay. So window, and I want you to be able to see our cute little slides that I made. Yes. All right. It's kind of wild to me that like the podcast is this old already, that it's been 3 years. Yeah. Oh, wow. Uh, oh, okay. That's not gonna work. Mm, hmm. Yeah, because it won't let you see when it's like full screen. See, this is exactly why I got on here early. Hmm. Okay, well, I mean, we can still see them, right? I wonder if I could. Okay, maybe that's a little bit better. Okay, this is the best I got, chat. So I appreciate your flexibility. But so, yeah, it's not even 3 o'clock yet, so we'll let a few moments go by. Hope that you are doing well, that you have lots of beverages. Got my iced vanilla latte and my water with electrolytes. I will also, after this stream, be streaming on the Purple app. We're going to finish up The Last of Us Part 2, finally. Finally. So, feeling really excited about that. Ooh, excuse me. Jeez. Sorry. Okay. Let's see if I can close some stuff to help out the stream. Health. Close Discord. Don't need that right now. um, let's see. I can see this chat, but it looks like I can't really like participate in it in OBS. But I do have it here. So we are going to be playing a game, and there will be a little giveaway. So if you're here and you're not in the Discord, then I will put a link to the Discord below so that you can join, because I put all of the details in the announcements over there. Now, Discord is downloading an update. So that is one thing about Discord. I swear, like, it's always updating. So, like, you can't close it and then be doing something, like, because this happens. I can't hear myself, so I hope that you can hear me okay. All right, Discord, where to go? Okay, so first, let me get you the link to the Discord if you'd like to join. I mostly put like all the updates and stuff in Discord just because I feel like I always have it up, and so it's very easy to like just make an announcement here, do this here, invite people. Excuse me. Okay. I'm gonna get the other link. But so let me get the Google form for you. So if you'd like to enter in the giveaway, there are only two things that you have to do. One of them being that thanks for letting me know. One of them that give us a follow over on YouTube, and the other, fill out that little Google form. It just asks for like your shipping address so that I can give you your actual gift. And just how did you find us? So just a couple of questions, and then just like terms and conditions that I have to tell you, because like YouTube is not endorsing this or sponsoring it in any way. But yeah. Okay. Now the Discord link. Okay. Yeah, so if you're not in the Discord, welcome to join. We have daily polls. All hang out. There's gaming stuff in there, of course. Movies, TV. Lots of cool stuff over there. So, okay, I'm going to close this and quit that. All right. So, it is our podcast birthday. It's been 3 years. So if you're watching this and you're here or you're watching the replay, thank you so much for celebrating 3 years of learning LGBTQ plus history with us. It's kind of wild to think that like I started this podcast 3 years ago. So just to kind of give you like a little run of the show, I couldn't not let my teacher, really shine by just telling you kind of what you can anticipate from the live and what we'll be doing. So if you're unfamiliar with our story, I'll just give you a little bit of background about me and about Closeted History, kind of how it got started. We are going to play a Blooket. There's debate on how to pronounce it. Their website says Blooket, but it looks like Blooket. You can tell me. I'll answer some of the Q&A questions that were submitted over on Instagram. So thanks so much for everybody who submitted over there, and then we will do our little giveaway. And like I mentioned earlier, I will be playing The Last of Us Part 2 after this, but over on the Purple app. As long as I can, like, get my OBS back to over there, because, you know, I had to, like, change everything around for YouTube. But anyway, so, yeah, 2022 started the podcast. I actually had the idea for the podcast in, like, around March. And then I launched it in June of 2022. But this screenshot is like one of the first LGBTQ plus history trivia games. I was doing consulting, like helping other teachers with making their classrooms and their schools more LGBTQ plus inclusive. And, you know, I found that not a lot of people knew LGBTQ plus history. And, you know, it's not a judgment. I'm here in North Carolina. We definitely did not learn about Stonewall or the Lavender Scare, or like, even, I'm not recalling even the AIDS epidemic like being mentioned. So I and other people are you know, not taught this in school. And I was finding that, like, the history teachers I was working with, or like the English teachers, or really all of the teachers, that they weren't integrating this into their curriculum. And part of that came from just not knowing it. And so I was like, well, okay, what if we, like, go on a journey together and try to learn LGBTQ plus history, because this is obviously, like, important to me, and as a person, and also to just, like, our collective historical narratives. Like, you know, these things are just not known, and it's erasure. So that's how it started, is that, you know, I was working with teachers and I realized that they didn't know the history, just like I didn't really know the history. And this particular trivia was Alan Turing, which we did an episode on him and a few other, like, LGBTQ plus people in STEM very early on in the podcast days. And then I did a review of this movie, The Imitation Game, which, if you've listened to the review, is not my favorite movie. It's definitely not my favorite. I do like Benedict Cumberbatch as an actor, but my friend Thomas and I, better known as the leftist Squidward, we analyzed the episode and kind of talk about a lot of the, like, historical inaccuracies, because, and I was talking about this the other day, that a lot of people learn history from movies, and, like, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's media, it's art. But, like, when you have a lot of historical inaccuracies in a movie about a historical figure, like, that's kind of, it wraps itself up in that conversation that we were having about erasure. And so I have some thoughts and some beef with that movie. So if you haven't listened to that episode, you should definitely check it out. But so that was the beginning. And as I mentioned earlier, it launched in June of 2023, or excuse me, 2022. And then a year later, I started the YouTube channel. And initially, I was just, like, uploading, like, the audio only and just seeing how it went. And then I started making kind of, like, video essay styles, and I really, really enjoyed that. And so these are some of the videos that we made. Well, I say we, but really it's just me. But so I started the YouTube channel, and these are some of the videos from, like, very early on. The Queer Coded Villains episode, I had a lot of fun, like, researching, especially a child of the 90s. You know, I was alive during the the Disney Renaissance period. And so it was really cool, like looking at a lot of those figures and those movies like from that lens. And that episode actually remains as like one of our most watched episodes. So if you haven't seen it on YouTube, it's really good. Not to like to my own horn, but it's pretty good. I had a lot of fun researching. And then the Compton Cafeteria Riots, it's like probably one of my proudest productions. And I had help with the audio and like putting it together. And that's a really good one too. And so in the beginning, it was kind of like research based, like video essays, very historical kind of vibes, I guess, which like duh, because it's a history podcast. But then at the very end of 2023 and a lot in 2024, we had a lot of guests on the podcast. So our very first guest was this guy, Jadis. He works over at Motivo Scar Care. And his team reached out and I was really, really inspired by his story. He transitioned female to male and like when he had his top surgery, he had a lot of issues with like the scar tape and just general like healing. And he like took his story and turned it into a brand and like, works with a physician and like now is selling this product and provides this really great service for people who get top surgery or people who just have scars who are looking to work on that. And I felt really inspired by his story and loved having a guest on the podcast. And so then I continued to have a lot of guests on the podcast and just kind of making connections with others and people who also had podcasts. And that last year we on Instagram, and that felt really good because, we're just a little small corner of the internet. And then this year I actually got to like interview one of my dream interviewees, my pal Flint. You might know him as Just Flint is Fine or Flint Del Sol. But his book, Teach Like an Ally, is just about to come out. I think it actually just released like this week. And so I got to talk to him about his story. And I actually had been following him for a really long time. When like, I think I started following him maybe in like 2020 when, TikTok was like still fun and like we were doing weird dances and like just connecting with each other. And he was talking about his experiences as a non-binary person and like out as a teacher. And so I really resonated with that. And then, he's discovered some more stuff about himself and wrote a book. And it was really, really awesome getting to interview him and kind of plug his book. So excited for that. Is out now, I think. I think it just released like 2 or 3 days ago. And then I also got to work with Bad Queers Pod. And that was another like dream kind of client or like another dream podcast guest to have. And we talked about the movie Pariah, which was seriously probably one of the best LGBTQ plus films I've ever watched, like ever. It was really, really good. And so if you haven't seen that movie, I definitely recommend it. It came out in like 2011. But yeah, and we will be having a new episode released soon. So really excited about that as well. And now we're at the Blooket. So If you've never played before, which like it's probably most folks, right? I've only played just because like I'm a teacher and I play with my students, but so it's just like pretty simple, like trivia questions, just like, when did the Supreme Court legalize gay marriage? What was the court case name? So I'm going to host the game. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to host the game, and it'll give me like options for different game modes. One of my favorites is Crypto Hack. I really like the music because it kind of sounds like the Matrix. Fishing Frenzy is also really fun. Gold Quest. Monster Brawl is really fun. Or do we have any preferences from the chat? No? Okay, well, we'll play we'll play Crypto Hack, okay? Okay. Okay. Can you hear the audio? I hope so. Okay, so I put the link in the chat. You can also go to play.blooket.com, and then you just put in this game ID. So we'll wait for a couple of people to join. Yeah, Blooket is a hit with my students. So if you're a teacher and you've never used Blooket, definitely recommend. Definitely recommend. All right. We'll wait just another minute. So if you want to join us, feel free to. If not, that's okay. The questions aren't going to display on the screen. It only does that like if you play. But yeah, best of luck to you, and thanks for participating. It will give you the directions, like on the screen, but okay, suerte. I hope I don't get copyright for this. All right, just another minute and a half. Oh. Sorry. Okay, just another 30 seconds. Yeah, I did notice that my audio keeps going out. I wonder why. Okay. Oh my god, that is so loud. It's gonna do it again. Yeah. All right, good job, Daisy Bringer and C Stone. Hope that you enjoyed the Blooket. I will also leave like a link in the description of this video if you're interested in playing like for yourself. There's like a self-paced thing. The link will expire in 7 days, but you're feel free to play until then. Practice more LGBTQ plus history. So I will leave that below if you didn't get a chance to play. But so we'll get into the questions, we'll do the giveaway, and then that'll be a wrap. Okay. So I asked on my Instagram, if you're not following us, it's at Closeted History. I asked for some questions just like for the little celebration, and I got several responses. Thank you so much, everyone who did that. But these are some of the questions that were asked, and so we'll just go through each one. And if you have any thoughts that you want to share along the way, feel free to use the chat, and if not, okay. So the first question I got from Teaching While Queer, which is another really great podcast, who's also celebrating 3 years. My mutual Brian, who does the podcast, we didn't realize that like there was that overlap in our podcast. So apparently we started around the same time. So if you go over there, make sure that you let them know that I sent you, and give them a happy anniversary as well. But they asked, what can teachers learn from Two-Spirit LGBTQIA history to help us in the current moment? So I think it's I don't want to say tricky, because it's like it is, but it isn't. I think that we're in very scary times for lots of people, and I think that when it comes to education, that people like are in very different environments, so the advice that I give like really is kind of dictated by what environment you're in, because I never want anyone to like do something and then there be like real life repercussions for your actions. But I do think that it is also really important to advocate for your students, to include all people of the global majority and all marginalized communities within your curriculum. But again, I mean, it really just depends on like where you are, because in some parts of the country, like Brian is in the United States, and so I think, and maybe I'm wrong for assuming, but I think that they mean in the United States. And the biggest thing is just to continue to advocate for your students, and to make them feel safe and secure. And I think I hear Lola. But and to look at your curriculum, see what you can do as far as being more inclusive, and at the end of the day, they can't take your commitment to your students and like your ideas from you. Those are inside of your beautiful little brain, and that's what we have to keep going forward. And so we have to really lean into community and learn from each other and continue to stand up for our students, and for what's right, you know? That's probably a very long-winded answer. But so then the next one, what has been your favorite topic to research or covered on the podcast so far? Is there a topic you plan to or want to cover in the future? So, I, if you could not guess, am neurodivergent, and so that means that like I have 1,000 ideas, but the execution and like follow through with those ideas is not always the easiest thing to do. I have tons of ideas for the podcast for sure, but I think so far my favorite topic has been, I mean, not to like plug the Compton episode again, but I really really enjoyed that episode, because I think that there's this sentiment of like, you know, oh, it didn't start at Stonewall, which like of course it didn't, but I think that you should start at Stonewall, because it serves as like a really good central point to learn more, because, you know, if you learn like the key players like Sylvia Rivera, Marsha P. Johnson, Stormy DeLarvier, then it opens up a lot of like other opportunities to learn. So you can learn about, you know, the trans women who fought for our rights. You can learn about butch lesbian culture. You can learn about like just general events and kind of what was happening in New York at the time, because then you have like the development of gayborhoods. So, and you know, I started at Stonewall, so to speak, and it led me to the Compton cafeteria riots, which for a long time was thought to be the very first riot, or like uprising in the U.S. And, you know, a lot of people just think of Stonewall immediately, but there were other things that were happening before then. And so I really, really enjoyed learning about that, and kind of like seeing that Stonewall wasn't the first time, and that there was there were lots of other things happening even before then. And a really big influence, for the people at the Compton cafeteria riot was Christine Jorgensen, which I'm working on the script for that episode. That should be out. It's July, so probably I'm thinking maybe like mid-August. Maybe like before I go back to school, I'll release the episode. But it's been really awesome learning about her too. And so like I kind of got to see what her influence was before learning about her. And so that's just kind of come like full circle. So I've really enjoyed that. Then my pal Thomas, I mentioned them earlier. He was on the Frida episode with me and with the Imitation Game episode. But they asked, are there any countries around the world you're keen to cover in terms of their LGBTQIA history? I mean, I'm in the U.S., so I feel like a lot of my like recollection of history has been really centralized to the U.S., unfortunately, thanks to our education system. So I'm interested in learning outside of that. I'm really interested in like South America history, in learning more about really like anywhere other than the U.S. But, and particularly I'm really interested in like gender expression, and like trans individuals like in ancient cultures, and just kind of seeing the historical knowledge of that, like pre-colonial times would be really, really awesome to learn more about, and of course share on the podcast. Then my friend the Liberated Porch said, can you discuss how the lavender scare impacted the development of our society today? First of all, this is a huge question. So, if you don't know the Liberator Porch, that's my mutual Kit. They are a therapist and focus on religious trauma, and particularly with queer and trans individuals. So if you're, I think they're in New York. So if you're in the state of New York and looking for a therapist, definitely check them out. But so the lavender scare, there is an episode coming on the lavender scare. And I mentioned it earlier that, like, you know, I wasn't taught that in our good old North Carolina history lessons. So I feel like there's a lot that I don't know, and I want to do the episode thoughtfully. I mentioned the Christine episode, and all of this kind of like revolves around the same time ish. So like Christine Jorgensen transitioned in 1950. She comes back to the US like as herself in 1953. And the lavender scare had already kind of started, so like the timelines are pretty blurry between like the Cold War and kind of the Red Scare versus like the lavender scare and like outwardly persecuting LGBTQ plus people, like, you know, with a law like on the books. So I'm learning more about it, but I definitely think that it heightened any like state of paranoia that was already felt from the 50s, and we kind of see how that time era has impacted like our times now. So I'm still researching, but I definitely think that it increased paranoia around LGBTQ plus people at a time when there was already like a lot of paranoia in the US just in general. And we know that kind of like that kind of stuff can take a really long time to like unlearn as a society. So it's definitely still impacting us today. So before we move on to any other questions, I'm going to be right back. So if you need to potty, if you need to get some water, if you need to just get up and stretch, you know, the blood is pooling in your legs like me. So I will be right back, okay? All right, we are back. Thank you so much for your patience. I had to put on my sweater It was getting a little bit chilly. You know, I had to rep the Closeted History sweater, which, if you would like your own sweater, then let me get you a little link. I definitely want to like put more effort into that. I like making little designs for the clothes. I designed a queer cowgirl shirt and I wear it all the time. I love it. So I definitely want to make more merch as well. But you know, alas, all the ideas all the time. But so let's go back to those questions. Okay. So this question says, "Hey, hun, how do you handle the fact that I'm bi and polyamorous? That my cis man partner cannot attend to many queer events while living queer." So, I actually have an episode with an organization called Bi Invisibility that is all about like people who are in straight presenting relationships. So I won't say too much about it because like there is a whole episode on it. But that it's okay to bring your boyfriend. I feel like the whole boyfriend at Pride like discourse is kind of tired. And that like people are going to make assumptions about your relationship and you can't control what other people's assumptions are. It is unfortunate that people make assumptions about us, but that like, you know, you could have a femme presenting person and a male bodied person or someone who presents more masculine or whatever, and I mean saying that that's a boy and a girl, like you don't know them, you don't know their experiences, you don't know if they're cis or if they're trans, and so like both of them could be bisexual, one of them could be bisexual, one could be pan, the other could be ace. Like, you know, there are an endless number of combinations of sexualities and genders, and you know, I don't think that it's worth time, energy, or effort to try to control what other people assume, and that, you know, queerness is not only like in the way that you present yourself, but in just like your experiences. Like I'm queer and nobody can take that away from me, and so everything that I experience is queer, because it's through that lens that I experience life. And so one thing for me personally that has really helped me like connect to my queerness is this podcast, is learning the history, is knowing where I came from, and where, you know, my transcestors and queer ancestors came before me, and you know what they left behind. And so I really love doing the research and learning more and getting to share this history with everyone. And I hope that even if you're not like this person and have this kind of relationship dynamic, or presentation, that you can still feel affirmed by our history, regardless of what alphabet letter you are, in the alphabet mafia. And yeah, if you haven't checked out that episode, definitely do so. It is specifically for people who are bisexual, or queer and in straight presenting relationships. Again, you see the air quotes. Yeah. That's something that is like very obviously near and dear to me. Like that's I have been in lots of those kinds of relationships. And so I feel that. And yeah, check out that episode. But that is that. And be who you are. Bring who you want to Pride. Then my friend Maddie asked, what does chosen family mean to you, especially right now? Which is like a really great kind of segue from that other question, because I mean, your chosen family is your chosen family. Like, if you choose to have someone who is close to you, who reciprocates, and who you share a close relationship with, like, you know, that's your chosen family. And it's so important right now, especially in these experiences that we're having. Like, you know, I don't know if it's just me and like my feed personally, especially on YouTube, but everybody's talking about AI right now. And it just really like has me thinking that, like, I don't know where I heard it, but this person was talking about like just pausing and asking yourself, like, who benefits from that? And that has just been like running back in my head over and over again, of like, with these AI chat bots and the way that like people are using ChatGPT as like their therapist, like, you know, who benefits from us being isolated from each other? And I mean, that's another really big part of this podcast, is that, you know, I've made a lot of really great connections. Most of the people who submitted these questions, like, I've met online and through the podcast. I've been able to like interview people and be in rooms that I never thought would be possible. And it all came from the podcast. And so, you know, like really leaning into community and learning more about our community, the LGBTQ plus community specifically, has been really, really great. And I just hope to share that with other people. And so chosen family is family. And you know, the expression like, oh, blood is thicker than water, people leave off the rest of the expression. And it's like blood is thicker than water, than something of the coven. Let's look it up. Blood is thicker than water. Okay, so the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. So essentially that, like, your covenant, whoever is your chosen family, that is thicker than the water of the womb, like your actual family. So, like, just because you're tied by blood doesn't mean that, like, you have to give them your energy or your capacity or anything like that. That the people that you have in your life are people that you choose to have in your life. And so, yeah, chosen family is so, so important. And especially for queer people that, like, you know, oftentimes, I mean, my experience here in North Carolina is definitely going to be shaped by my geographical location, by the people around me and what they look like, and so on, all the disclaimers, yada, yada, yada. But a lot of the queer people that I know don't really have super great relationships with their family, or it's complicated at the least. And so for chosen family, specifically for queer people, it's really important because you need people that you can lean on that understand you and don't, you know, cast you aside just because of who you are and how you were born. And unfortunately, we're seeing, you know, higher rates of like of homelessness, especially for LGBTQ plus youth. I did a whole episode on the state of mental health for LGBTQ plus youth. based on like the Trevor Project results. They do this survey every single year. So if you haven't checked out that episode, it's really, really insightful. But so just, another reason why chosen family is so, so important, especially for queer folks. But then, moving on, the next episode. Wow, the next question. My friend, All Things Labor. Her name's Alex. She was on the Jennifer's Body episode. She does like labor stuff. So if you're looking to unionize your workplace, definitely check her out. But she asked, "What's your favorite queer labor history story to share?" I don't have like a specific story in general, but I think that people really like, what's the word I'm looking for? Really underestimate like how involved queer people have been in the labor unions, like that part of history has historically always been queer. There's a really great book. It's like the queer history of labor or something. I think it's somewhere on my bookshelf, but it's about queer labor history specifically. Like it's a whole book and recalls a lot of people's experiences, and so that was really awesome to read, and I definitely recommend it. And then to wrap us up, some of my buddies over at Cards and Comrades, which they are doing really great work to show that the card community is not just homophobic dudes. They sent me a bunch of questions. Some of these questions I cannot answer because I just genuinely don't know. But so the first question that they asked is dream 3-car garage, money is no object. And if you're watching this or you're watching the replay, I definitely want to hear what your dream 3-car garage is. Because for me, honestly, I'm torn between an Audi R8 and GTR. That that would be that type of car. And then honestly, I mean, I'm a new Subaru owner. Well, it's not new. Don't get it twisted. It's still a used car, but I just bought a Subaru in May, and let me tell you, I love it, y'all. I really do. I love it. It's a really great car. I love Subaru, so I think I would have to keep a Subaru even in my dream garage. I have test driven the STI, the WRX, and I know it's unpopular, but I don't really like the way that it feels. The clutch is very, very sensitive, and the engines often break. So I think I would have the Audi or the GTR. I'm still undecided. My Subaru Crosstrek Classic. Maybe I would get like an updated new one just to like have all the bells and whistles. And then I feel like I need a truck. In this fictitious garage. I think maybe I know. I know what I would have. I would have, if you know me, then you are already well aware of this movie. I would have Joe's truck from Twister. I would do it. Because they said that money is no object. So, obviously, I could find it somewhere. But look at that. I always like when I was a kid, I loved it. And I low-key wanted to be a meteorologist. I wanted to chase tornadoes. But yeah, that would be sweet. So, okay, Joe's truck, the the Audi R8 or the GTR, and then my Subi. Classic. Classic. And then, of course, because I mean, it's a garage and they said car garage, and I can definitely fit some bikes in there. I want a motorcycle really, really bad. Either like a Honda Rebel 500, probably, or like an R3. I haven't decided how much I want to hurt my back, you know? And also, motorcycles are really dangerous. But, you know, so it's driving in a car and eating stuff. I don't know. Everything's dangerous. I'm just trying to justify it because I really do want a motorcycle. Um, but then they asked me a bunch of questions about motorsports, and I'm sorry, cars and comrades. I don't know shit about motorsports, so yeah, I don't know anyone. If a queer person buys a Subaru, are they making their queer identity their whole personality? Absolutely. And you know what? It's an encouragement. Everybody else should also become gayer and also make it their personality. And I mean, I'm actually, Cars and Comrades and I talked about doing like a little, I don't know, like a reel or like a thread or maybe like a little mini video on how Subaru became the woman loving woman brand that it is. Because listen, you know, I know the 90s are back and whatever, but like they were very discriminatory towards gay people in the 90s. I mean, we had the Defense of Marriage Act in the 90s. So, yeah. Legally, brands could like turn away gay people, like, oh, we don't want you to shop here. And so that's kind of part of how Subaru became like a gay brand, because IKEA made a brand, and so, like, we would talk about the whole kind of history of it. So if you're interested in that, definitely be on the lookout because it's in the works. And then yeah, they asked a bunch of other questions about motorsports. So I don't know. I'm sorry. But yeah, that brings us to our giveaway time. Okay, so you know, drum roll. I'm not like one of those fancy YouTubers or streamers that has like sound effects and stuff. Although some of them like do entirely too much. Like, you don't need a laugh track. Don't tell me when to laugh, okay? Anyway, so giveaway time. This is my absolute favorite book for researching LGBTQ plus history, and I want you to have a copy as well. It is the first place that I go when I am researching a new episode, and I just kind of want to give you like a little, because this is it. I just want to kind of show you what it looks like on the inside. Lots of pictures, lots of visuals, and now you're probably thinking like, that looks like a textbook, and like, what if we had this as a textbook? You know, it would have been so cool. And like, you see all these diagrams and pictures and stuff. We didn't have this cool stuff. We just had to read and then answer questions at the end. You know, things have changed. But it's really, really thorough. And it goes kind of like in chronological order a little bit. It has a really great like glossary to give you definitions at the end. I definitely recommend this. And it's good for like, if you're looking for like a specific event or person. And then it's also good for just like perusing, like, wonder what happened this year. Wonder, because again, it goes kind of in chronological order. So if you'd like to enter into the giveaway, all you have to do is just subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then there is the link, which I'm just going to copy and paste into the, okay, there we go. Into the chat again for you. Okay. So make sure that you submit your form if you'd like to enter into the giveaway. The giveaway will close tonight at 7:59 Eastern Standard Time. And then, then I'll announce the winner over on the community post, and then I'll also put it on the Instagram. And so please be sure to enter. All you have to do is just subscribe and fill out the little form. It's like a couple of questions. It just asks for your shipping address so that I can like actually send you the book. I definitely recommend it. It's how I learned about Comptons, and then like while I was doing the research for the Comptons episode, I learned that there were even more riots like before that. There was one at the Black Cat, like in the 1950s, like in the late 1950s. And so like I thought it was Stonewall, then I thought it was Compton, then I like found out that it was a Black Cat. And so like, you know, it just has taught me so much, and I definitely recommend the book, even if you don't win for the giveaway. But it's linked in the link in our bio. Again, I use it all the time. And you can find all of our other like book recommendations if you are looking for recommendations. There's like nonfiction recommendations. There are fiction ones that are centered around like Pride Month specifically. And then I even have lists for like YA novels or like middle school, and then some options for elementary school if you're looking to kind of do that with a younger audience. But yeah, so I just described all of that, and but here it is again. So subscribe on YouTube. Make sure that you fill out that Google form, and then it'll end tonight. The only disclaimers are that you have to be 18 or older and located in the US or the UK because of like their shipping. We use Bookshop for all of our books because you get to like choose a local bookstore that some of the proceeds go to. So I really love that option, and we hate the other option. Don't buy books from there. I won't say any names, but don't. Okay? And only one entry per person. So this has brought us to the end of our little celebration. Thank you so much. These are like all of the figures, movies, people, things that we have studied so far. And I hope that you have enjoyed yourself for this little celebration. I hope that you enter into the giveaway. Thank you so much, everyone who joined, who watched, who submitted the questions. Again, I love learning this history. It really like grounds me in feeling part of our community, and I hope to share that feeling with you. And yeah, thanks so much for joining me and hanging out. I'm going to take a little small break, probably like gather everything from this live, because again, this was like the first time that I've ever done a live from YouTube, and eat very quickly, and then I'll be over on the Purple app to finish The Last of Us Part 2. We have like probably like an hour and a half left. I'm in Santa Barbara, so if you know, you know. Okay? Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you. Make sure that you follow the podcast on YouTube and on your favorite podcast platform. The Christine episode will be coming out, and it will be part of like a bigger series that focuses kind of just like on that time period. So you'll see the Lavender Scare, and then we'll talk about some books from that time period. That if you're interested in some historical knowledge or historical fiction, yeah, lots of good things coming for the podcast. I feel like I have, again, too many ideas, but I'm so excited to share all of them with you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you the next time. Bye.